So happy to have you with me. And let's get started on this Ending the Holiday Blues class so you can feel good as soon as possible. All right. Okay. Is this you? Are you someone who's been feeling the holiday blues? So many people I've been talking to lately are in just that place. Just yesterday, I was sitting at lunch with a friend whose dad last week got a cancer diagnosis. And she was just describing to me how she just can't get into getting excited about the holidays, how she just doesn't have that holiday spirit, and what a struggle it's been for her. I know my sister-in-law lost her dad on Christmas Eve several years back. And so Christmas Eve always has that kind of heaviness to it because there was this loss. There's so many reasons that many of us are hurting right now at this time of year. Do you feel something like this? Do these pictures look like you, or do they remind you of how you feel on the inside? I remember one of my professors who said, we're always comparing our insides to other people's outsides. And I know for a lot of you, your insides feel like this. And it's very tough when you're going through something. Maybe it's a breakup. Maybe it's a loss of health. Maybe it's something else that's causing you to feel a sense of dread rather than excitement about the gatherings, the shopping, the wrapping, the cooking. There's so many components to the holidays. They can be tough and very, very energy draining when we're feeling our best. But if we're feeling like this, if we're having that sadness inside, and I know there are so many of us feeling that. I've got friends who've talked to me about just feeling so alone because their families live in the East and they don't get to go home because of work demands. I know several clients and friends lately have talked to me about breakups and relationship distress. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm going through some of that myself. And I know it can just, you can go and you're in the middle of a crowd and you just feel still alone. You're around people that are all laughing and joking and seem to be having the best time in the world. And you try to get into it. You try to feel those kinds of feelings, and yet it just doesn't, it's not there. Somewhere, no matter how many people may be around you, inside there's that feeling of just being so alone, and not really knowing how to make it feel better. I know for me, I have been using some tools that I find very, very helpful, and I'm going to be sharing those with you in this webinar, and they really have helped me keep my own head above water. And that doesn't mean, it's all perfect. There's still the reality that's part of what you're experiencing in your life right now. And, one of the things I think is really important is that we do really feel our feelings, that we do acknowledge what we're going through and what's real for us right now. We can't paint a happy face on an empty gas tank and expect that car to run. So don't do that to yourself either, because that actually drains your energy more. It depletes you even more. So while I want to give you tools in this workshop to help you to shift your energy and feel better, I also want to encourage you to really feel what you're feeling. And maybe that's just that you wish you could pull the covers over your head until it's all over. But I don't know anyone, nor have I ever met anyone that got to have that option. So let's see if we can figure out some other things that might work a little better than just going to bed and pulling the covers over our head. For 24 years now, I have had a private practice and have been working with people who are dealing with sadness and loss and addictive disorders and relationship distress. And in fact, my latest book, Grief, When Will This Pain Ever End, actually evolved out of my own very, very difficult summer, during which in a 1-month period, I lost both my former husband, Gary, who is the father of my 2 children, and our dog, our family dog, Sammy, who had been with us for 14 years. That was a really tough, dark summer for me and my 2 children. And because I had a private practice, because I had responsibilities, I had to find ways, effective, rapid ways to help myself heal. Because, I was kind of it. I was all my children had now. My clients were looking to me for help and guidance. And so I started combining tools from the field of energy psychology along with those effective tools I had learned for dealing with grief and loss. And those tools ended up working so well that 2 months after my losses, I was sitting with a client. I'll never forget him. He had just actually seen his dog run over before his eyes the week before, and he was sobbing. He just sat in my office and sobbed. And at one point I said to him, I'm not sure exactly what you feel, but I have some idea because I recently lost my dog too. And he said, really, when? And I said, 2 months ago. And I clearly was in a good place, and he could see that. And he looked at me and he said, with a little bit of suspicion, are you on meds? And I said, no, I'm not. And he looked at me and said, how did you do it? And those words actually led to me writing that book, Grief, When Will This Pain Ever End, which we just launched in June of this last summer. And I'm very excited about that book because it's a gathering of tools and information that I have worked with over the years that have been really effective and helpful for people who are dealing with grief, loss, sadness, trauma, all of those things that can take us off our game and out of full focus and full energy in our lives. So let's take a look here at why the holidays are especially difficult. I mean, when you're sad and when you're dealing with loss, every day is difficult. I don't have to tell you that. You know what that feels like. But most days, when life is doing its ordinary things, we aren't worrying or we're not being faced, it's seemingly every moment, with everybody that looks so jolly and so happy, and everything about the holidays is supposed to be about joy, isn't it? We have lights, we have laughter, we have parties, we have musical shows and all kinds of joyful events. And if you're not feeling that joy, it can make you feel even more alienated and alone and isolated. So that's a big part of why the holidays are tough. They put us in total opposition with, what we're feeling. We're not feeling joy. And so we feel totally separate and alone. And again, they're about being with those that you love. So if the loss you've suffered recently is a breakup in a relationship, or perhaps you lost someone to death that you really care about, or perhaps they moved away, or maybe you moved away and all your familiar someones are not going to be with you during this holiday time of year. This is extremely difficult. And it can just make you feel, again, just alienated from everything that's going on and depleted by it. You know, it can actually deplete your energy when you aren't in sync with what everybody else seems to be feeling. And again, these holidays trigger memories of the past. We all have our Christmas memories or our Hanukkah memories from the past. And they're etched deeply in our minds, especially the ones from childhood. And so if what you're experiencing right now seems to be in total opposition to those beautiful memories, that can be very difficult. Another way that memories can really trigger us is that if someone or some place or some circumstance that used to be so special to us, that used to help us so much to enjoy the holidays, if that has now changed or is no longer part of our life, that can be a really difficult, painful experience. And so memories, while they can be beautiful and wonderful, can also bring up a lot of pain. The holidays are so busy. There's so much to do. There's so many events that, as I mentioned already, they can be draining. They can be a real challenge energetically, even when you're feeling great. And you know, because you're probably tuned in to this webinar because you're not feeling great. So I don't have to tell you that you just feel tired all the time. I know when I'm grieving or when I'm sick, even if it's a bad cold, even going to the grocery store can seem like climbing Mount Everest. And so now with so many extra things to do, it can really, really be a difficult time and a real drain on your energy. That's what I was told by this lovely lady, Atusa. In her words, Paul, I do not even have words to express my gratitude. I was at the point where if someone told me to stick a knife in my hand to take away my holiday emotional pain, I probably would have. The work we did and the processes we used were incredibly helpful. I'm going to tell the entire world about how amazing you are. And one of the points that these words from Atusa brings to mind for me is she was willing. She was open and she was willing to take action. And what I'm here to tell you is that your sadness or your depression or your pain can shift, but it's going to require action on your part. We can't pull the covers over our head or just sit in front of the TV and hope that our emotional pain will go away, no matter what the source is. Action is really the way to make that pain shift and to take it away. When Ellen first came to me, there was a tragic loss in her family. As she says, I was utterly incapable of processing, as a mother myself, how one goes on with the loss of your child. And what do you say to someone who has experienced that unspeakable loss? When I reached out to Paula Shaw, she knew exactly what to say. I was able to immediately reach out to my cousin with confidence, opening our conversation with one of Paula's suggestions. Just a phrase, a few words, that was all we needed. The floodgates opened and all she needed was to be heard. I cannot thank you enough, Paula, for the healing you implement and the work that you do. I know we've all had that experience, either of being the person who's in pain or loving someone who's in pain and just not knowing what to do or what to say. And too often what we end up doing is avoiding that person because we feel inept. It's not that we don't care. We just don't really know what to do for them that could be helpful. And probably the best advice I could give you here is just come from your heart and be there, be present. And the right words, the right thoughts will come to you. You don't have to have any fancy solutions, because the truth is, just as you know yourself if you're in pain, the solutions have to come from you. And so often what you really need is just to be heard, just to know that somebody's there to support you and help you. And that's all we really need to get through the difficult time. So remember that if someone you know is hurting. I remember when Tim first came to me. And in his words, Paula Shaw changed the course of my life one morning in April in 2010. I was told that morning that my marriage of 29 and a half years was over. It was a devastating blow, and there was no room for discussion. I had no idea how I would deal with the upcoming holidays. Paula, who knew us both, began to work her magic. We discussed the idea that as one door closes, another one opens. That mental image, as well as other modalities she took me through, allowed me to move forward seeking open doors rather than dwelling on the closed door behind me. Focusing on the positive, as hard as that was, allowed me to move on. Thank you, Paula, for being the angel that delivered the perfect message at the perfect time. And I think a really important message from Tim's words is that word allow. We have to create circumstances that help us, and we have to allow ourselves to let in what we need to let in. We have to allow ourselves to express our feelings. We have to allow other people to support us and help us. And if we're open to that, if we will allow what comes to us, healing happens much, much more easily. And that's so important. Action, being present, coming from the heart, and allowing healing and allowing help from others, because they're there for us if we let them be. So I have some things I want to share with you tonight, some very specific tools and suggestions to help you get through this difficult time. 4 ways now that we can transform your energy so you could truly enjoy your holidays and not just endure them. So the first one I want to talk about is being authentic. One of the reasons I started this webinar tonight with also sharing with you that I have been through a recent breakup and an emotional time myself is because it's important to be authentic. And I don't want to sit here and try to be all jolly and bright and not acknowledge the reality of my own life, because in many ways I'm sharing with you exactly what you're going through right now. When you are not telling your truth or being real, it drains your energy. Putting on that I'm fine face when you're not fine really, truly saps your energy, because it's taking so much energy to try to look jolly, to look like you're okay, to keep up the facade, to engage in the parties and the conversations, when what you really need maybe is some time to cry, or time to just be quiet or be with yourself. Maybe to read a good book, or to just do something that allows you to maybe snuggle into a warm blanket in front of a fireplace and not have to put the energy out that it takes to socialize. Journaling can be incredibly helpful. Talking to safe people and journaling are 2 of the best things you can do when you're dealing with emotional pain. And I highlight that word safe people, because you do not want to share your truth with somebody who's going to advise, criticize you, or tell you how you should be feeling and how you should be handling your loss. Because there are no real shoulds in this deal. Everybody's loss experience is unique. Even with the same person, each loss will have a unique energy to it. So Nobody has the right to ever tell you how to handle your loss or how to grieve, or that you have to go through the 5 stages of loss, which I don't believe exist. Those 5 stages were the 5 stages of death and dying that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross first talked about. They were the stages that people go through when they are dying. They're not necessarily the stages that those left behind are experiencing. So have an energy of trust. Trust yourself. Trust that what you're experiencing is what you have to go through. Trust that being real, that being present with it, and having the courage to sit with it and not try to push it away or pretend it doesn't exist, that really can be the most healing thing that you can do for yourself. So feel those true feelings and embrace them. Don't run from them. That will drain your energy. The next point, cut back. This is huge. We've already talked about how much there is to do at the holiday time, and I haven't even begun to talk about the cards and putting up the decorations and the lights and the food and the events and, you know, so many things. Oh, and let's remember the shopping and the wrapping. And when your energy is already low, none of this looks like fun. It's just another chore to do. It's just another energy drain. So give yourself permission to cut back. One of the things I'm going to talk to you about a little later is the holiday survival checklist, and it's one of my favorite tools because it gives you some really wonderful suggestions about ways you can cut back. You can change how you're doing things to conserve your energy. And I'm telling you, survival is the right word, because sometimes cutting back can make the difference between surviving the holidays and being devastated by them. Consider doing things differently. I know we all tend to have our holiday traditions and rituals, and many of those things go back years and may have even been things that we experienced in our own childhood and then brought into our families as adults. But when circumstances are such that you just don't feel it, or that somebody who was critical to that experience is no longer there, or if your health is challenged, or you've lost your job or your home, doing things that same way could make the pain more acute. So consider doing things differently this year. And you may even find that you stumble onto some new traditions that you're going to like even better. And finally, I want to talk to you about balancing your energy, because we've been discussing how energy is really at a premium during the holidays. And when you are sad, when you are grieving, or when you're dealing with loss, your energy is already very low. And so keeping it balanced and keeping it strong is a critical piece of how we can get through the holidays in a better way. So one of the things we want to remember is that we are energetic beings, and actually that's what we all look like without the outer facade on. We're really a great deal of light. And what you see in this picture is the 3 components of the human energy system. There's the biofield that's all around that body. Those little balls of light are the energy centers. And then that which looks like veins running all throughout the being are the energy meridians. And we need to take care of our energy, because it's really what we are. It's what keeps us going and what gives us life force. So the first tool I want to talk to you about and share with you is one of my favorite things that I do with my clients all the time. And I personally do it in my own life every single morning while I meditate. It's called balanced breathing. And it's a combination of an ancient yoga posture and a breathing method. And we know that breath is one of the most powerful ways to impact energy. Those of you who may do yoga or know something about yoga probably know that many yoga poses also include certain breaths that are really important for helping the energy, bringing in the energy or dispersing the energy or whatever that particular yoga pose is designed to do. So I'd love you to do this with me. It's very simple, and you can see from the picture that we cross the ankles. We don't cross at the knees, because when we cross our knees, which most of us do when we're sitting all the time, but that is a way that constricts energy. So we don't want to cross our knees. We want to cross our ankles, however, to keep the energy within the circle of our being. So just for the sake of making it easy to teach you, everybody cross your right ankle over your left ankle. And then put your hands out in front of you, raise your arms in front of you, and put the left arm over the right arm. Turn your palms so they face each other and interlace your fingers. Then if you just drop those hands down toward your lap and bring them up on your chest, you will look just like the lady in this picture. Now, if holding your hands in this interlaced position is difficult for you, then just go ahead and just cross your hands over the upper chest, flat. You don't have to have your fingers interlaced. You can just cross your hands over the upper chest. The whole idea is that the limbs of one side of the body cross the midline of the body. In fact, when I do this at the airport or if I'm on the train, I just cross my hands in my lap. And as long as you have the opposite arm on top, then you're going to be just fine. So now once you're in this position, we're going to do the breathing method. So just close your eyes and inhale through your nose. And as you're inhaling, touch the tip of, or the roof of your mouth with the tip of your tongue. And then when you exhale, you relax the tongue back down on the floor of the mouth and you release the breath through the mouth. So again, it's inhale through the nose, tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and exhale through the mouth, resting your tongue on the floor of your mouth. And now doing that at your own pace. Let's do this breathing together. So inhale, tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Exhale, tongue resting on the floor of the mouth. And as you continue doing this at your own pace, focused on feeling balanced, calm, centered, grounded. Each breath bringing in more and more energy and light, and each release letting go of tension or fear or hurt or anger. Just allowing yourself to be fed, to become balanced. And as you continue that, let me tell you that doing this breath is a cumulative process. So the more you do it, the more quickly it will begin to work for you. I kind of think of it like putting deposits in my bliss bank. And the other thing that's so great about it is it can work very quickly. So if you don't have 20 minutes to meditate, then you can do balanced breathing for as little as 2 to 5 minutes and experience a complete energy shift. You'll feel calmer, you'll feel more centered and grounded. I literally have been known to pull my car over on the side of the road when I get into a state where I feel like I'm panting, where I'm in such an anxiety state that I realize it's going to just keep getting worse and more out of control. I just pull the car over and I do balanced breathing for a minute or two. And it's like hitting the restart button. So balanced breathing, one of my favorite tools. And by the way, if after the webinar, you feel confused about how to do this, but you really want to include this tool in your life, you can go to my YouTube channel, Paula Shaw Counseling. That's easy to remember, Paula Shaw Counseling. Just go to the YouTube channel and there are videos there of me demonstrating how to do balanced breathing, so that will remind you of what we experienced here. The next tool that I would love to share with you is something called the Global PR Correction. PR stands for Psychoenergetic Reversal, but we don't need to know that long word, because Global PR Correction simply means that we are trying to correct an energy that's running kind of backwards and that's throwing everything off in our systems. So what we do in this global PR correction is very simple. You have these spots on your upper chest. They're like a few inches below your collarbone and a couple of inches above your nipples. And all you do is rub them in an outward direction and say these words. So let's do this together. We say them 3 times and rub those NLR spots. That stands, as you can see, for neuro-lymphatic reflex spots. Rub them in an outward direction going toward your shoulder and then around, and say along with me, I deeply and completely love and accept myself with all my problems, challenges, and strengths. And again, I deeply and completely love and accept myself with all my problems, challenges, and strengths. And one more time, I deeply and completely love and accept myself with all my problems, challenges, and strengths. The magic of doing this process is that we all are great at criticizing ourselves, at judging ourselves, at focusing on everything about ourselves that we don't like. And doing this every day, several times a day, can really help to counteract the damage that all that self-criticism does. And by the way, if you really want to amp this up and get even more power out of the process, do it standing in front of the mirror, looking into, not at, but into your own eyes. I'm telling you, it's amazingly powerful. I've had clients do that in my office many a time, and they're pretty blown away how once you're actually looking into your eyes, how much deeper it goes and how much more you feel the words that you're saying. So that's tool number 2. And now the third tool I want to give you is something called meridian tapping. Now, many of you may have heard of a process called EFT, standing for Emotional Freedom Technique, which was developed by Gary Craig many years ago. It's probably the most widely practiced and well-known meridian tapping process in the world. But I have chosen 4 particular points that are really especially relevant for grief. These are points that, each meridian point represents different emotions. And so here are some of the emotions I think that come up so much for us when we're grieving. Impatience, frustration, sorrow, sadness, hopelessness, overwhelm, depression, and anger. All of those emotions are represented by these points. So let's take a look at what they are. There's the eyebrow point that, as you can see, is right at the point where your eyebrow is nearing the nose, the inner edge of the eyebrow. Then there's the point, we call it the karate chop point, on the side of your hand. There's the gamut spot point, which is right on the top of your hand in that valley where baby finger and ring finger come together. And then finally, there's a point right by the fingernail of your baby finger on the inside edge. And this is an important point. This is actually the anger point. So if you're going through a lot of anger with whatever your loss or emotional pain is about, this is a point you really want to remember. You may want to just tap that one. Now, You can just tap one of these points. But I think since we're never totally sure what we're feeling and why we're feeling it and what is involved, it's not a bad idea to tap all 4 points. So there are those points that we just looked at: eyebrow point, which is bladder meridian, karate chop, gamut spot, and baby finger. So you can see they all relate to certain meridians in the body, and the meridians are the way we flow energy through the body. So let's get down to now, what do we do with those points? How do we tap? How do we do this effectively? So step 1, you got to tune into your distress. Now, I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive because everybody's always so into positive thinking, and you're probably going, why on earth do I want to tune in to what I'm upset about? So I explain it like this. When you're working on your computer, and let's say you type a sentence that you don't like and you want to take it out, do you just hit the delete button and it goes away? No. Because your computer wouldn't know what to take away if you just hit the delete button. First, you have to highlight or select what you want to delete. So it's the same process. When we tune into our distress, then the subconscious mind and the energy system knows what we want to get rid of when we begin the tapping process. So that's why it's so important for us to tune into our distress. All right, now we want to rate the level of that distress and give it a number. So between 1 and 10, 1 being very little pain, 10 being really painful. So we need to give it a number. So I'm going to use an example, and this is one that may be true for many of you. When your energy is kind of lowered and you're just not feeling your usual jolly self, going to a party can be just something you dread. And maybe there's an office party that you just have to go to because it's politically the thing to do. But when you think about going, it's like a 9, because everybody now knows that your boyfriend broke up with you, and everybody knows that something happened, and you really don't want to deal with the what happened. You don't want to have to talk about it. You don't want to have to dress up and do the hair and the makeup. Well, not you guys, but the ladies have to do the hair and the makeup. I mean, it all just feels like too much, and you're just dreading it at a level 9. That's one example. I'm sure we all have something that we can tune into here. Maybe it's dinner at the family's, or maybe it's some kind of presentation or something you have to do. I know my dad's turning 90 this next Saturday, and some of the members of the family are doing little presentations. They're singing or they're doing some kind of presentation. And, that would be something that you might dread if you were in a bad place. So now, once you have given a number to your level of pain, you're going to either tap, rub, or hold that point for around 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be exactly 3 minutes. And if you're tapping, oftentimes they say tap 5 to 7 times. But some of my clients don't like to tap. Other people love it. Some of them really prefer rubbing the point. And that works very well too, because it's the electrical output from your fingertips impacting the point that really makes the difference. You can also just hold the point and take a nice deep breath and then release it. So try all 3 different methods and see what resonates with you, what feels best for you. So I'm going to walk through this with you through this example we were just talking about of dreading the party. So I'll be doing this. I'll be talking about dreading the party, and you be focusing on what your issue is and be saying your own thing as we tap. I'm going to say tapping, but if you prefer to rub or hold, do that. So now, tuning in to dreading the party at a level 9, I'm first going to start tapping the eyebrow point. Now, as I said, you could tap just one point, but I think tapping all 4 is just more thorough, and it really doesn't take very long at all. So tapping that inner eyebrow point, I focus on, and in the beginning, it's a good idea to just keep saying it over and over again so that you don't lose your focus. So dreading the party, dreading the party, dreading the party. So you can just say the same statement over and over again as you tap, or you can talk about the different aspects that you're dreading. Dreading going in and having everyone ask me about the breakup. Dreading trying to figure out what to wear. Dreading trying to make my hair look presentable. Dreading, so you see what I'm saying, dreading different aspects of what it is. So when you tap, you can either use this conversational method, or you can just repeat the same statement over and over and over again. So next we're going to go to the karate chop point on the side of the hand. Let's all tap that together. And again, focusing on whatever your issue is, I'm going to say dreading the party. Dreading having to bring a dish. Dreading having to cook and shop and get that ready. Dreading everybody wanting to know why we broke up. Dreading the party. And now let's move to the gamut spot on the top of the hand. And again, focusing on your issue. Dreading the party. As we tap, rub, or whatever, or hold, dreading the party. And then finally, let's go to the baby finger, tapping that point, dreading the party. I'm so angry this happened anyway, and I don't want to have to tell everybody about it. I just want to just not go. I'm dreading the party, dreading the party. All right, and now that we've tapped all 4 points, let's take a nice deep breath and let it go. And now, tune back into this thing you're distressed about, whether it's the party or it's a dinner or it's shopping or not knowing what gift to get or whatever it is you're distressed about. Tune back into it and see now if when you think about it, you don't feel the same level of upset. So maybe now you've dropped from a 9 to a 6, or maybe even lower than that. So all you have to do is go back through the points and tap again. If you don't feel great, if you're not down to a 0 or a 1, then just go through the process we just went through again. Even if you needed to do it 2 or 3 times, look how rapidly this is helping you and shifting you. And I tell you, on my YouTube channel, you will also find some other methods to help you release your dread or your concerns about whatever it is that you're feeling your holiday distress about. And feel free to use those methods as well. So again, as I said, just repeat this whole process, tapping the eyebrow point, the karate chop point, the gamut spot, and the baby finger spot. And also, if any of you know EFT, you can use the other points in EFT as well. They certainly won't hurt you. But I narrowed it down to these 4 points just to keep it simple for the webinar and make it easy for you to remember and use. The whole point, right, is you got to take action. If you don't use this method, then it's of no use. It won't help you. It won't have the opportunity to help you shift to a better place. So 4 simple points that represent almost all the emotions we feel when we're grieving, when we're sad, when we're in emotional distress. So try and tap those troubles away. So let's kind of review and summarize what we have talked about here. The 4 T's. So number 1, talk. Two safe people, remember that. And remember that talking can also include journaling, because what we're really looking at here is expressing what you're going through and being authentic. Take care of yourself. And this could really also include eating right, getting enough rest, being careful not to drink too much, anything that would deplete your energy you don't want to do. You want to get some exercise. Even if you don't have much energy, try at least taking a walk. Get out in fresh air, get out into nature. Take care of yourself. Whatever taking care of yourself means. If that means cutting back, if that means doing other things that in a different way, that's what taking care of yourself is and what you should do. Tune into your feelings, your needs, your thoughts. Remember, we talked about being authentic. We talked about being present with what's really going on with you. And that is critically important, really important. And finally, the methods we've looked at: tap, breathe, hold, do these things that we looked at: the balanced breathing, the global PR correction, the meridian tapping, that can all help to shift your energy in a really powerful way, a way that's going to make a big difference in getting you where you want to go. Because remember, action, you have to have the willingness to take the action, of course. So willingness comes first, and then allowing it to help you, allowing that shift. If you're open to doing that, you really can experience a shift. Just like Melissa here, who said, Paula is really the person you want by your side during the holidays to help you through any stressful transitions, or simply to help you live a more balanced and zen life and enjoy each day, even when you're hurting. She has a way of connecting with you, understanding where you're at, and giving you some amazing techniques to help get rid of what you don't want and to help you bring in what you do want. You leave her sessions feeling like $1 million. Well, and even if you can't come in for a session, these things that I've shared with you and many other things that I also use with my clients and will be sharing with you can help you to change your reality, can really help you shift your energy and shift the way you're experiencing your holidays and your life. As Debbie said here, not only during the holidays, but all throughout the year, Paula has guided me through the many crazy transitions involved in moving my family across the country, away from family and lifetime friends, as well as assisting with the identity shift that accompanies starting over. Paula's work has empowered me to step into my work, simultaneously balancing the crazy schedule of mommyhood and family. The clarity and insight Paula offers are incredibly profound, but the energy balancing and clearing out of old patterns, sugar cravings and continual overwhelm, and limiting beliefs is powerful beyond words. Her continual support keeps me balanced and centered, allowing for resolution and growth versus my past patterns of self-destruct. And one thing I will say for Debbie, boy, she's willing to do the work. She shows up and she does. And I'm not talking about hours of difficult, painful work. But if you find one simple process that you actually do every day, I guarantee you it will change your life. I have seen this to be true time and time again with my clients, no matter what the loss was about. When Tira came to me, she'd lost her husband. She says, I never dreamed that I would have a happy life again. The holidays were something I dreaded, but after the work we did, I'm great. The work we did uncovering my limiting beliefs, especially the I'm not in control one, removing them and coming away with my new affirmations was so effective and powerful. I actually have felt happy, light, laughed out loud several times, and feel more motivated to go forward through the holidays with peace and courage. I now see that I did everything to the best of my ability. And maybe what she could have added on here at the end is, and so I have forgiven myself. And if any of you are hanging on to issues where you just really need to forgive yourself, I really want to encourage you to do that. So we have looked at some tools, and we've looked at the action that's important, the willingness that's important. And I want to give you more than I'm able to give you in this one little hour webinar. So I have created a 3-part cutting edge kit that's just for you and just for this time of year. I call it the Holiday Survival Kit because, as I said to you earlier, I do think it's about survival, because when we are hurting and our energy is limited, it's survival time. It is survival time. And I really want you to think, I know this is going to go against everything you're thinking at this time of year, because we're all thinking about everybody else, right? We're spending every cent of our money on buying gifts for everybody else. And it's very, very difficult to think about yourself. It's very difficult to even think about focusing on yourself. But you know what? I found one of the gifts, and I know it's going to sound a little crazy to some of you. One of the gifts of grief is that we're forced to focus on ourselves because the pain is so intense. If we don't focus on ourselves, it just keeps getting worse. So it is a time that we have to try to take care of ourselves. And that's why I put together this holiday survival kit. So one of the first things I want to tell you about that's in it is this, what I like to call a playbook, because it's loaded with different processes, different information that will actually help you to work through the emotional pain you're in. So you don't have to just sit around waiting for time to heal your wounds, because that doesn't work anyway. Any of us who've been hurting for any length of time know that. So I love this playbook. It's a 25-page playbook that's just loaded with different things you can do to actually help yourself feel better. Lots of information, so you'll know what to do. Then I also created 3 short videos that are very, very succinct and to the point, giving you clear information, like 10 things you can do to make this holiday time different. 10 things that real concrete suggestions of ways you can handle the different aspects of the holidays. And then finally, what I already raved to you about there, the holiday survival checklist, which I've developed over the years, and I just adore this tool. And it has all kinds of different categories of things that we need to do during the holidays and suggestions of how you can handle them differently. So, you know that commercial where they talk about special moments in life, you know, and it's about, well, putting a price tag on those special, you know, on this thing, on that thing. And the bottom line is it's priceless, right? Certain things that we give ourselves, certain things in life are priceless. And taking care of yourself at this time of year, even though, as I said, I know your focus is on everybody else, but maybe this year it's time to just, you know, think about, what is it worth to you to actually feel happy, to actually have happy holidays? What is it worth to you to actually find a way to shift this painful reality that you're in, to be able to get back in your life fully? What is it worth to you? Well, this kit that I've put together is a $500 value, but it's the holiday time. And do I want to charge you $500 for this kit? I don't. And here's another thing. For the first 7 people who order the Holiday Survival Kit, we will also be giving you a 30-minute consult. One of the advantages the people whose stories I read you had was they were able to sit down with me and we were able to identify more specifically some of the beliefs underneath their pain, some of the experiences that caused the trauma. And for the first 7 people who buy this holiday survival kit today, who opt to put themselves on the top of their holiday Christmas list, their gift list, let's just say, for those people, we will be able to have some one-on-one time in which I can help you to identify what you really need to delete from your energy system and your subconscious that's underneath the pain and that keeps that pain alive. This is an $125 value itself. 30 minutes in a session with me would cost that for you. So that makes the value of the whole kit and this 30-minute consult $625. Oh, but didn't I say a little while ago, it's the season of giving and I'm not going to charge you that kind of money? Yes, I did, and I am going to honor that. So my team and I decided that what we really want to do, because we want to make it possible for you to get your hands on this stuff, because I know it will help you. I know because I'm using the tools myself right now, and I used them when I was going through my summer of hell. So we want to make this available for you for only $97. For under $100, you actually can experience your holidays in a completely different way. You can stop being Debbie Downer and maybe be the life of the party. Or if not that, at least you can actually experience some joy, even if it's just quiet joy. You can stop being in the agony that you're in, wondering why. Why did it happen? Why? Believe me, I know that feeling. But we can shift out of that and find the gift, find the beauty in this time of year. But it takes action. And the first action you have to take would be opting to put yourself on the top of the Christmas list and buy the holiday survival kit for yourself. And here's the deal. If you find that it doesn't help you, and I feel very certain that's not going to be the case, but there's an absolute money-back guarantee. If come January 2, you say to me, Paula, that didn't help me at all, I am really sorry I spent that money, you will get your money back without any questions asked. So, bottom line, you have nothing to lose but your pain. Nothing to lose but your holiday blues. I like rhymes. Sorry, I know it's Gordy, but I love rhymes. So here's the question. Are you going to include you on this year's Christmas list? Are you going to give a holiday gift to yourself that may change the holidays for you forever? A gift that actually does have the ability to change what your experience has been and what your experience will be for all the holidays coming. So the question is up to you. If you want to opt for giving this gift to yourself, just go to paulashaw.com, that's my website, and right there on the home page, you'll see a button that says the Holiday Survival Kit, and all you have to do is click on it, and you will be taken through the payment process. And then you'll be taken to a site where you can download all the components of this kit that we've talked about. I really hope you'll opt for you. I really hope that this year you're going to be the first person on your Christmas list so that these holidays can end up really being happy holidays. Thank you for your time. And I hope that you use these tools and make this a different holiday season. Make it a good holiday season. Take care of yourself this time. All right. Good night. Thank you for joining me.
Click on end. End it.